Driving a minivan certainly isn't the coolest thing going. Rather, it's something that families adopt out of necessity.
Minivans are just a family appliance. They move kids around in comfort while parents have to put up with that soccer mom image for the sake of convenience.
What a lot of minivan owners will reluctantly admit is that they secretly love their minivan and they wouldn't live without one.
So if you're in the market for a minivan out of necessity, or maybe you secretly enjoy driving one, then this new 2011 Toyota Sienna is a force to be reckoned with. With an all-new exterior and interior, plus a new 4-cylinder, 6-speed automatic transmission and suspension tuning, this makes this new Sienna the best in class.
Kazuo Mori is the chief engineer of this new 2011 Sienna minivan, and I had a chance to talk to him at the Canadian launch in Victoria, BC, and he told me that he interviewed over 400 people across the United States to get input on this new van. And what he found out is he had to create a van that would appeal to people who like cars, and also a vehicle that would turn heads and change people's minds. Well, there certainly is no question that this latest Sienna is a better looking unit than the one it replaces. The front design captures the essence of the Venza crossover, especially the grille. The latest addition to the Sienna family is a sport model called SE. It has a lower ride height, 19-inch wheels, unique front spoilers, side skirts, and even smoked headlight surrounds. From the front, it does look like a tall sedan, but with all the comfort of a van. This model certainly is attractive, but the fact is it's still a van, and there's only so much that can be done to mask that fact.
There are 8 trim levels to choose from, so listing that all would take quite the spreadsheet. So keep this in mind. There is a Sienna available for pretty much every taste and every budget. Now, speaking of price, the new 2011 Sienna 4-cylinder starts at $27,900. That's just $500 more than the Dodge Grand Caravan. The inside is all new with a more dynamic looking dash. The radio, heat, and basic controls are very simple and easy to use. Not the case with the Honda Odyssey. A lot of attention was put on the comfort of the seats, which is evident after spending several hours behind the wheel. Instead of making the second row fold into the floor like the Chrysler Stow and Go feature, the focus was on plush seats that slide on long rails for optimal legroom and cargo capacity. The second row seats can also be equipped with retractable footrests.
The rear entertainment panoramic monitor stretches 16.4 inches wide and can be split to play 2 separate movies or video games, or the full screen can be utilized for just one video. The biggest disappointment is that the dash has a hard and cheap plastic material covering the entire upper and lower panels. With all the effort that went into this van, it's surprising they left out this one important area.
The chief engineer fine-tuned the steering and suspension personally. Now, by getting the Sienna out on the track, he was able to dial in a perfect feeling of connection with the driver and almost flat cornering. The body of the Sienna only slightly rolls in the corners, but at the same time it remains smooth and comfortable. The 3.5-liter V6 is held over from last year's van and has 266 horsepower, making it a real performer. After a very long time, Toyota decided to reintroduce a 4-cylinder into one of their vans. It's the same 2.7-liter found in the Highlander and Venza and is surprisingly versatile for city drivers, but it's only available on the lowest trim level. So for buyers who might want a 4-cylinder and have all the interior toys, they will not be satisfied. This Sienna is just fantastic to drive. It's very smooth and quiet, the seats are unbelievably comfortable, and everything is really nicely placed for ease of use. Really like driving this minivan.
The Sienna has a new 6-speed automatic transmission. You can shift it here manually, or you can put it in sport mode. It's available on the 4-cylinder and the V6. It really helps with fuel economy, and it also helps get the most efficiency out of that 4-cylinder engine. Because there's more gears, you get more bottom end torque, and it gets up and off away from a light with ease. If you drive mostly in the city, the 4-cylinder should be considered. However, if you drive on the highway, you do a lot of passing, then the V6 is a powerful option. Sienna remains the only van with an all-wheel drive option, which is now an on-demand system for improved efficiency and up to a 50-50 torque split when needed. The previous van had a full-time system, so this new version can save more fuel by only providing traction when needed. But the reality is, for most Canadians, a good set of winter tires and front-wheel drive will do the trick. There has been so much about Toyota in the press lately about recalls and their problems. And the fastest way to quiet those critics is to come out with new, innovative, and well-designed products. And this Sienna really hits it out of the park. It's a dynamic vehicle to drive. It offers so much for families, and that really will go a long way to helping heal their image. Regular viewers of this show know I've been a critic of Toyota's lack of road feel and passion behind the wheel. But the Sienna chief engineer told me to speak to him in 2 years to see what Toyota are up to. I can't wait. This latest Sienna is a glimpse as to where Toyota is headed, a solid handling vehicle with the driver in mind.
This new Sienna has a really wide price range, starting as low as $27,900 and going as high as $49,000. So Zach, what are your opinions?
Well, you know what, for me it all comes down first and foremost to the ride. And we talked about the chief engineer dialing in the steering and the feel of the vehicle, and they hit it. This is the best handling minivan on the marketplace. You take it into the corners, it's not roly-poly. They did an excellent job with that. The new dash looks and is much easier to use than the old one. Whereas the old one was kind of clunky, this one looks more sophisticated. Also, the seats are ultra comfortable. I asked the chief engineer when we were in Victoria why they didn't go for stow-and-go seats. He said he wanted his seats to be comfortable. When you do a stow and go, you have to make them very thin, and they're really not that comfortable, especially in comparison to these. And options. You can get a 4-cylinder. You can, of course, get the V6, and you can get all-wheel drive. The 4-cylinder and all-wheel drive in the competition, not available. On the downside, if you want to get a 4-cylinder, you're stuck with the base model. They should offer it through more trim levels. And the other thing is the dash is functional, and it actually looks better than the old one, but it feels cheap. It's got that hard, cheap plastic, which is a disappointment. Lacey, what do you think?
Well, I agree with you on a lot of those points, Zach. One thing that really stands out for me, though, is the exterior styling, especially on that sport trim. I could almost say this minivan looks cool. I like the fact that they've included a 4-cylinder option, which means they've got a fantastic starting price. And now that they've implemented a new 6-speed automatic, it's much more fuel efficient. And I really like the optional footrests on the back seats. On the downside, gotta be honest, Zach, I really pulling at straws here, but the 4-cylinder was just a little noisier than the V6, but that's about it. I like this van.
You know what, Lacey, I think it's very easy for us to say with the combination of engine choices, all-wheel drive, outside upgrades, inside upgrades, that this is now, the Sienna is definitely the class leader in the minivan market.
Power to the soccer moms.
How cool is a minivan in Japan? We'll tell you in this web-only segment, available only at drivingtelevision.com.